It's interesting, there's a psychologist and sociologist who works in marketing named Clotaire Rappel who wrote a book called The Culture Code. And in that book, he actually identifies different codes for different things within different cultures to help people figure out how to come up with marketing plans to reach those people. For instance, love in France, the culture code is amorous or something lovely in French like that. In America, it's disappointment. Isn't that nice? But his studies around the culture code of the automobile in the United States, it means two things. It means identity and it means freedom. So these are big cultural obstacles to try to overcome that are deeply embedded in our psyche. Now our last panelist, Mr. Clark Kellogg, is a partner in the Think Do Innovation Consultancy, Collective Invention. He is an architect, a graphic designer, and a product designer. Clark teaches a class at UC Berkeley called What a Sustainable World Demands of Designers and How We Can Respond. He is a director of the International Pan-Discipline Spark Design Awards, and most importantly, every other Friday, he teaches art to children in kindergarten. Clark Kellogg.
Thank you. Well, you know, thank you, Lou. I was just thinking about those wee ones, the kindergartners. And, you know, the way that I run that class, we have 4 principles that we work with. The first one is take only what you need. The second one is share with your neighbors. The third one is be kind to each other. And the last one, thank you, and the last one is clean up after yourself. Now, I was just thinking, if we just sent everybody on the planet back to kindergarten art class, maybe, well, all right, let's get down to the work at hand here. How many of you are here today, by a show of hands, because you want to make the world a worse place? Okay, so that's not the problem, is it? What is the problem? Well, we humans are fantastic short-term problem solvers. Long-term, we suck. That's a technical term. So what I'm here today to talk about is some of the work that our firm does in helping to envision long-term problem solving. Now, I've got too many things and not enough hands, so bear with me as I do all these things at once. What I want to do today is take you on a trip to the future and demonstrate some of the ways that we do this. Among the ideas about future thinking is that it's a blue sky, fuzzy notion. In fact, it's a very nuts and bolts proposition that is, I like to say, not for the faint of heart. And to frame this in, I want to show a quick film that we did a few weeks ago. One of our partners, Arnold Wasserman, talked about the process I want to share with you.
My name is Arnold Wasserman. I'm an industrial designer by training. In the 1960s, I was on the team that developed the Studebaker Avanti. In the 1970s, I designed and manufactured and marketed the first line of soft-sided luggage. In the 1980s, I was head of design for Xerox. So everything you hate about Xerox machines, you can blame on me. In recent years, I've been concerned with applying the innovation methods of design to large-scale social, economic, and environmental problems. Last year, ICSID, that's International Council of Societies of Industrial Design, asked me to be special advisor to a World Congress. I said to the Congress organizers, look, we are living at a hinge moment in history. The grounding assumptions of unrestrained growth and of industrial capitalism are being called into question. So I proposed that we design our world for 2050. We asked 9 design masters from around the world to bring to life how people might want to live and work and learn and entertain themselves and play and travel in the year 2050. Designers take an imaginative leap into a desired future, and then we integrate back from there to describe what has to happen decade by decade to bring that future into being if we start working on it Monday morning. In our material world, design is power. The definition of power is the ability to influence the course of events. We all have to become designers. Your grandkids are just entering into early adulthood in 2050. If that's not enough to motivate you, then I don't know what is.
So the phrase I want to pull out of Arnold's comments is that designers take an imaginative leap into a desired future. And what I'd like to do now is take you on an imaginative leap into a desired future and show you a little bit about how this works. When we are doing a project like this, we often will take a group and before we ever meet face to face, do some immersive online learning in which we envision the future date we're working with, in this particular slide, the year 2050. And we do some research around ethnography and trends and other things so we can build a credible bridge to that future. And then, let's say all of you were traveling there with me, we would give each of you a new tribal identity. That is what we sometimes call a segmentation or a market research demographic. We call these tribes instead. And so you would have as your persona in the future a new name. Perhaps it's Esther de Vega from Sao Paulo. And you are a part of the hedonists tribe. Now you wouldn't be alone because there are many people in your tribe. And we've given you a persona, a description of the bare bones of your life. So as you arrive to our new, say our day of learning here, you would come in the character of your personified person. Along the way, we're giving you lots of hints about the news and the context and the environment and the economy of the year and the place that you live in. So we all arrive here today. And here's where we do the actual work, because this is not the work of online media. This is the work of people doing hard things together, the heart-to-heart work, the compassionate communication, the co-creation of a collective idea. So this might be a tribe of people designing or imagining what a day in their life is like in the year 2050. This work goes on sometimes for days. And when we're done, we have a collection of, I have to say, brilliant ideas that have been crowdsourced from people living in the future. Well, then we need to come back to the present and, as Arnold says, go to work on Monday morning. So what we come back with are a series of navigational aids. Sometimes they're large wall posters of, say, a strategic plan. Other times, fairly common reports. Maybe it's just an iconic notion that was sketched on a tablecloth. And other times it is some of that online media. This is the Transnational Earth Council's edition of news from the year 2050. In all cases, these navigational aids serve as tools and totems for that journey we're about to make. And the metaphor of the sailboat is apt because as when you sail a sailboat, you know that distant shore you're headed toward. You have equipment, you have people, you have provisions. What you don't know about is what the journey will be like. Perhaps the winds come up, a storm, you have mechanical failures, you have cultural issues on board. All along the way, you are continuously creating and adjusting as you tack toward the destination on the far shore. And so that's how this works, armed with tools, and we know that the vision won't necessarily be right, but it will be useful. So now I want to show you in closing a little film from our friends at the Skoll Foundation, which maybe you're here. And this film gives us a few samples of what might be on that far distant shore we're navigating toward.
Much, Clark.